If you're familiar with daylilies, you know one of the great things about them is just the incredible rainbow of colors that's available in daylilies. Pretty much everything from near white to near black. Really the only color the daylilies don't come in is blue. What I want to talk today though about is all the other things that are available in daylily blooms and some terms that you might hear when we talk about daylilies or that you might see on our website. The different patterns and the different sizes and the shapes and whatnot. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The first color pattern I'm going to talk about is the Eyezone. And an Eyezone is a darker color inside of a lighter colored bloom. So a good example of that is the variety Regal Braid. See, that's got the darker purple inside that light creamy lavender bloom. A couple other good examples of that here. This is Mary Ethel Anderson. And then you can get a Eyezone in a double shaped bloom. This is Big Kiss. So that's an Eyezone. The opposite of an Eyezone is a Watermark, which is a lighter color inside a darker colored bloom. Got a couple examples of Watermarks. This is Sweet Summer Heat. See, it's got that lighter golden orange inside of a darker orange bloom. And then a really good example is Claudine's Charm. It's got that cool silvery lavender center inside the darker purple bloom. So a few other color patterns that you might hear is a band, just a thin, as it sounds like, band of color in a bloom. This is Delicate Design. And then a throat, you may hear this term a lot, and basically that's just the lighter color down in the center of a bloom. So most of those who don't have a pattern have a throat of some color, oftentimes yellow or gold or green. And then one other pattern that's kind of cool is called an applique. And this can either be a darker or lighter color in the middle. This is fins to the left, and it's got a lighter applique in the middle. And it's called applique because it looks like it was painted on there. So I think that's a pretty cool pattern. So the next term or color pattern you might hear about is the edge, which is, it sounds like it's a color around the edge of the bloom. Now it can be a darker color like this. This is Regal Braid again, got the cool purple edge around it. And this is another darker one. This is Susan Weber, got the darker pink around that sort of pale pastel bloom there. You'll see a lot of times yellow or gold edges. This is a cool one called Pretty Rich. It's got a nice gold edge there. And one other thing you'll see too, oftentimes with edges, or another term I guess you should say, is ruffles. So you see how ruffled that is around the edge like that. And I'll show you this other cool one here. This is called, where'd it go? Something in My Teeth. And it's got these little teethy things like that, hence the name on that one. And so that's a toothed edge on that one. And then, you know, like this one's got a pretty big edge, and this one, Spellbound Spring right here, it's got a really cool, great big yellow gold edge. But then you've also got some that just have a real small, like a wire edge. Like this is Mary's Baby. It's got that thin white edge around it. And then this was Garden Chapeau right here. It's got kind of a two-toned edge. It's got some gold and then also some red in there as well, and a small edge. So those are just some different things that you might find in the edges on daylilies. Some other terms you might hear about a daylily that has a seersucker texture. Got a couple of those. This is Little Heavenly Angel. You can see the texture in there. It's kind of like a wedding dress. And here's another really good example. This is Yellow Explosion. And then you might hear of a daylily that's a bicolor. And as the term says or sounds, it's a bloom that has different colored petals and sepals. So this is a good example of that. And then you might hear of a variety that has a midrib. And I'll show you an example of that, a couple examples. This is Orange Vols. Just broke a petal off of there, but you can see it's got the, you see the midrib right down the bloom there? That's a good example of that. And also Ribbonette, wherever it went, there it is. There's another good example of a midrib right there, see running down the middle. And then there are a few varieties that will throw extra petals from time to time, such as Northfield and Polymerous. I'm not sure exactly where the, whoops, there you go. But you see it's got extra petals and sepals in there. So when you come across one of these in the garden, it'll jump out at you and be like, wow, that looks different or interesting. But just certain varieties do that. This is Northfield. So of course daylily blooms come in a lot of different shapes. This is a red volunteer, which is kind of your standard daylily shape. You know, this is what most daylilies look like, that, or maybe round, something like that. But you got a couple of categories in particular of daylily blooms, and those would be the spider type daylilies and the double daylilies. And the spider type daylilies are named such because they have long thin petals like the legs of a spider. You know, if you really get into daylilies and you want to just display your blooms in daylily shows, there are different categories: crispate, cascade, spatulate. But we kind of just lump everything that's spidery or has long thin petals, something like that, into a spider type category. There's an official definition of a true classic spider, which means that the petals are 5 times as long as they are wide. I think this is one. This is ladyfingers. I think its petals are 5 times as long as they are wide. Other than that, they fit into the unusual form category, which is, and we just sort of lump everything into spider type. And then the other category I mentioned was the doubles, and you can see why they're named that. You can see it's got a whole another row of petals and sepals there in the middle, so it's kind of puffy. That's a good example. This is a Savannah Debutante, and then I showed you this one earlier, the Big Kiss. So you can see, you know, what a double daylily looks like right there. And it's really cool to mix the doubles and the spiders in with the, you know, more standard type daylilies, because, you know, the variety sort of pops out. You know, you walk along and then you have a whole bunch of regulars, and then a double or a spider, and like, oh, it sort of shows up because of the you know, variety. And then I mentioned earlier, you know, that we have different categories on our website. So if you wanted to look at all the doubles or the spiders or Eyezones or edges, you know, we can go to our website and search for those. So it makes it easy to pull all those up, you know, to look at just that kind. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is just the variety of bloom sizes that you've got in daylilies. You know, I thought this worked out kind of well. You got a small, medium, and large. You know, this is Mary Ethel Anderson I showed earlier, and it's probably a couple inches across. And there are some that are even smaller than this. You know, Eenie Weenie's probably just an honest 1.5 inches or so across. And Andy's all, and then this is about as big as they get. This is Webster's Pink Wonder, and it probably, if you stretch the petals out, it's going to be an honest foot almost across. So it's just really cool that all these are daylilies, but there's so many different variations among them. So I do have to warn you, you know, the variety that is available in daylilies can lead to something like starting a daylily nursery, which is how we got started, because we grew a few and they did well, and they were like, well, you know what, I don't have many spiders, and then, well, I don't have any doubles, and I don't have this color, and I don't have that. But, you know, seriously, growing daylilies is a lot of fun, and just the whole variety available is just a good reason to grow them. And so hopefully you will you know, enjoy growing daylilies. And if you have any questions about growing daylilies, you know, just leave them in the comments below, or you can visit our website. There's a lot of information on there, and we'd love to talk growing daylilies with you.